Voting has ended in Guatemala for the first round of voting to pick a new president after embattled President Otto Perez resigned this week over a graft scandal. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister David Cameron pledges to take in up to 20,000 refugees from camps in Syria over the next 5 years. Kristine Domingo will tell us why.
In England, British Prime Minister David Cameron pledged on Monday to take in up to 20,000 Syrian refugees over the next 5 years. This is in response to a growing public clamor for his government to help those fleeing civil war in the country.
The whole country has been deeply moved by the heartbreaking images we've seen over the past few days. And it is absolutely right that Britain should fulfill its moral responsibility to help those refugees, just as we've done so proudly throughout our history. We're using our aid budget to alleviate poverty and suffering in the countries from which these people are coming. We're the only major country in the world that has kept our promise to spend 0.7% of our GDP on aid.
Britain has so far taken in only 216 Syrian refugees under a UN-backed relocation scheme, and about 5,000 other Syrians who have made their own way to Britain have been granted asylum. In Belgium, violence erupted in Brussels on Monday as farmers ended their protest after the European Commission announced a €500 million package of measures to provide relief for farmers stung by slumping prices, triggered partly by the loss of exports to Russia due to EU sanctions against the country. The crisis has triggered a wave of protest, which culminated on Monday with nearly 5,000 farmers and more than 1,000 tractors arriving in Brussels, where an emergency meeting of the EU's Agriculture Council was being held. The package was discussed by the EU's Agriculture Council, which consists of farm ministers from member states, on Monday. Some details have not yet been finalized. In Guatemala, Guatemalans voted to elect a new leader in a tight contest that is likely to head to a second-round runoff. Otto Perez resigned as president on Thursday and was jailed while a judge weighs charging him over a customs racket. Polls in the run-up to Sunday's vote show Jimmy Morales, a 46-year-old centrist and comic actor whose slogan "Not corrupt, not a thief" has resonated with disenchanted voters, going head-to-head with earlier favorite Manuel Baldizon, 45, a conservative businessman. If, as expected, no candidate wins more than 50% of the ballots cast by Guatemala's 7.5 million registered voters, the top two will face a runoff on October 25. Kristine Domingo reporting for Y News.